I'm Ryan McCaffrey. Today we're talking Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. It is out October 15th on Steam, Windows 10, and Game Pass PC. I'm joined by Adam Isgreen, Joss Ellis, and Bert Beeckman from the various development teams that are working together on this. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. I want to start with Adam. Adam, for the new, maybe a newer generation of PC gamer who likes strategy games, but maybe they just, for whatever reason, they haven't found Age yet, but you've got this Age 3 definitive out very soon, and they want to just dive in. What's sort of the top level elevator pitch version of the franchise and of Age 3 specifically?
Well, Age is a series that's always concerned itself with history. We're a series of real-time strategy games that has always been about embracing what is amazing about humans and how we've come so far and how we've moved through history as different civilizations and which ones have kind of grown up and which ones have fallen under the weight of time. Age 3 is a great example of a very unique game that's set in kind of the colonial period of history, where the Americas were being discovered and great civilizations were expanding control. Age 3 is a unique beast within real-time strategy games because not only is it a strategy game that featured a tremendous amount of physics for the time, but also has a ton of unique mechanics you don't see in other real-time strategy games, such as a home city that almost acts like a deck-building game that's a meta behind the actual real-time strategy game play. And beyond that, it's just a really great game with a ton of different units and 16 different civilizations that we've got that you can play as that center on the Americas, South America, Europe, and Asia, that you can all kind of bring into conquest and just have a great time, not only playing a wonderful real-time strategy game, but learning a lot about history along the way.
Joss, on the tech side, just bringing an older game forward, making it relevant and modern from a technical perspective, what have you guys been able to achieve with Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition?
Well, we did a complete grassroots kind of rebuild of it. So, I mean, the art looked good for the time, but we've rebuilt every single model, every single texture. We've moved it from DX9 to DX11 with a PBR lighting model. We've got ambient occlusion. We've got loads of nice little touches. It's also modern. So things like you walk through the units, you walk through the grass, and they beat it down. So actually, if you're following somebody quickly, you can spot where the people have been. We've done all of the water. We built the ability to make streams that sort of meander properly. There's kind of no area that we haven't not touched. We've got whole new particle systems in there. We've got a complete refresh of Havoc, who've obviously moved their system on a lot in the intervening years. So Destruction has got a lot more fidelity to it. And in fact, when you will see some of the before and after pictures of some of the units that seem to be pretty good in the old game, when you actually look at them, they're just kind of like hacked. They kind of look like they're made of chopped wood kind of thing compared with the new one. I think it just brings the whole thing of richness and vitality to being able to put a lot of this stuff into it.
Bert, on the gameplay side, you guys have added a couple new game modes here, right?
Yes, indeed. When we worked on Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, we added this thing called Art of War. And Art of War is really a way to help people learn the game the way it's played today. Because a lot of people like to play against AI and then play a multiplayer game, and they see like, oh, there's a massive, massive gap to bridge. Especially because everybody who has been playing this game has been playing it competitively for like almost 10, 15 years.
Right.
And that's an enormous knowledge gap that we wanted to bridge. And that's why we added the Art of War methods to kind of help explain those more advanced pieces of RTS knowledge and try to share that with Age of Empires 3 players as well. So we noticed that was super successful in Age of Empires 2DE, so that's why we absolutely want to add it to Age of Empires 3D as well.
Can you speak a little bit to the thing I was going to bring up is the tweaks to the Native American culture in the game? I know that's been addressed as well.
Yes, indeed. So just talking about the design of those American civilizations, there were a few things that were always a bit odd, and actually that surprised us as well when we looked into it. We worked together with Native American counselors, and they basically told us, one of the things that they told us was like, hey, these guys never actually mined gold. And we were like, oh, okay, that's such a core mechanic of the game. how can we work around that? And so we made basically a replacement to the whole gold mine mechanic with some sort of trading, fur trading mechanic that they now have. And that's something that works out pretty well and is more culturally appropriate. And was quite a challenge to get those things right.
Adam, what have you and your team learned from doing the previous 2 definitive editions for Age that you've been able to apply to make the Age 3 definitive edition even better?
I think the most important thing that we've learned and grown along the way as a studio is in listening to our fans and working with them on these definitive editions. Every single one that we've done, it's become more and more imperative and obvious to us as we engage more with everyone that loves these games that they have a strong voice in what needs to be in the games, and we wanted to make sure we could deliver on that. Our goal with all these definitive editions, within Age of Empires, actually Age of Empires all up even, is just to make sure that we're making wonderful games that can stand the test of time. And one of the reasons this franchise has been going so long is because of such wonderful fans that love the games and they love history. And so, all of our learnings have been everything that's kind of been brought to us by fans. And what we've been trying to do is every single definitive edition that we've done, we're kind of leapfrogging each one. So we'll find something that works really well in one, and we'll continue it to the next one and the next one. And even sometimes retroactively, we'll go back and put into features or look at putting in features that have resonated so well in the others. And I fully expect that to continue into Age 4 as well. So something like Art of War, which has gone over really well because we wanted to teach players the fun of real-time strategy games and why they're great. And because we've been doing these kind of unique versions of each one, Art of War is not the same, by the way, across the games. They dive in and teach you nuances of the actual games themselves and why they're different as well. That we're going to continue doing that. And we're going to continue to listen to the fans about game modes and methods of play, interface. There's all kinds of things that we've learned along the way. And it's been a great experience, like really opening up to the fans and letting them be part of the conversation and how we develop these games.
Bert, we've talked about the couple new game modes. There are 2 new civilizations in this as well, yes?
Yes, indeed. We noticed that when we worked on H2 as well, we added a few new civilizations to the definitive edition, and people just love that. People love to explore more content, to explore more cultures. And with Age of Empires 3, we had an excellent opportunity to add some new civilizations to the games as well. So we've added Sweden and the Inca. Especially the Inca were very interesting because they're such a massive culture. They were the largest empire in South America, fitted perfectly in this whole Age of Empires 3 time frame and game flow. And then on the other hand, we have Sweden. And this one is very interesting because it's the first time Sweden is ever in like any Age of Empires games. And that's because they're such a small country, really, that really punched above their weight during the 17th and 18th century, which is kind of the era of Age of Empires 3. And that makes them super interesting, like such a tiny nation that had such a profound impact on history at the time, to be able to put that in Age of Empires as well.
Joss, before we start to wrap up here, I just built a new gaming PC. I'm looking right at it behind the camera here, and so I've got the whole thing like just decked out. How can I fully take advantage? Like, what is the max amount of like frame rate and resolution? Like, how can I take full advantage of my new PC with Age 3 Definitive?
Okay. I'll quickly add, we've gone to huge pains to make this game work on pretty low-end systems, so you're going to get a good experience across the board. If you want to crank it to the max, it's fast CPU is one of the big things. And the more gigahertz, you don't necessarily need a ton of cores, but a fast CPU and a decent GPU. 4K is fully supported, obviously. We can actually span any number of monitors. You could have 5 of them, and you could drag the window across the lot if you want to try.
I want to see someone do that.
So yeah, we've really gone to pains to try and support everything from a very bottom end, kind of like literally a Surface Pro 3, right the way up to an epic gaming rig. With NVMe drives will help a ton, tons of RAM. You don't need an RX 3000 series though. I personally have got a 1080 Ti, and that runs it awesomely right the way to the top at 60 frames the whole way. So
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much, Adam, Joss, and Bert. Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, again, pick it up October 15th on Steam, Windows 10 PC, or if you're an Xbox Game Pass for PC subscriber, you can snag it from there as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much.